spiritual food for thought.
So I want to bring up this time a concept I've kind of put some thought into it over the years, haven't really completely reached a definitive answer on it, but I'll basically call it the neutrality of nothing. And basically what it is we know that there are things that are going to benefit us in our spiritual walk with the Lord, and we know that there are things that are going to lead us in the wrong direction, where they would be actually things that are counterproductive, that are facing the wrong direction, going the wrong way, that type of thing. And then if we think about that some things may be neutral, sometimes it could be a lack of discernment on our part that, is why we would consider it to be without really effect. Or it could be that even if something was neutral, that since it doesn't have any positive, benefit to our life, that then by preventing something positive from happening, it would still be viewed as negative. I know it's a little bit to kind of wrap your mind around, but if we can kind of just back up into a simple application and look at just a couple verses. Amusement literally means to not think. Like as an atheist, not, the opposite of, and muse, to think. So amusement is pretty much to not think. And a lot of entertainment is for entertainment purposes only. There is no benefit to it. So if you look at something like Psalm 101, verse 3 says, "I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me." So a couple things happen here. Number one is, I'm not going to set any wicked thing before my eyes. These days, with television first, and then, the internet, and then smartphones, and movies, and Hollywood, there's a lot of very wicked things that we not only allow to, have the opportunity to come before our eyes, but often we're paying for it. I would never, pay for cable television, watch primetime TV. I've heard it said before, primetime TV is softcore porn. I mean, it's what it is. A lot of it is, there's a reason they call them programs, and a lot of it is to overexpose you, first and foremost, but then also to desensitize you to sin. That's the purpose. That's why it's there. That's why they have laugh tracks on things like sitcoms, so that they can program your sense of humor. They will overexpose you to sin. They will desensitize you to it so that you no longer can discern the holy from unholy or what's appropriate from what's not. And then they will program you to laugh at things that Jesus Christ, our Messiah, died for. And you sit there having a great time, laughing at it. I've been there. And I woke up and I said, wait a minute. They're really attacking us here. This is subtle. There's a reason it says that, the serpent was more subtle than any of the creatures that God, had created. That we don't always understand what the devil's doing, because if he comes right out and does it in the open, very few people will go for it. But if he's sly and cunning and subtle and does things on the sly without us really realizing, we wind up being in these positions where all of a sudden we've exposed ourselves to certain things that we shouldn't. I remember early on as a very young Christian, a very young married man at the time too, me and my wife were watching a movie, and there happened to come up a rape scene in the movie. And of course you're watching it and you're thinking, hopefully somebody will step in and stop this, right? And my wife made a comment to me, and I realized, you're right. Somebody can step in and stop this right now. I have the power to stop this. The things that I'm watching, that I'm looking at, are not godly. They're not good. They are wicked and evil. And whether somebody else ever shows up and actually prevents this evil from occurring, in my life, I'm already there, and I have power over the television. You know what I mean? I have power over the screen. I can shut it off if I want to. And I think just to kind of head in one more verse as I kind of continue to think out loud here. It says here in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 5, "It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools." And of course it's always good to receive good godly correction, to have those who don't mind rebuking you when you're in error. But for a man to hear the song of the fools is very interesting. If we look at something like Psalm 14:1 says, the fool has said in his heart there is no God. I think Psalm 53:1 says the same thing. The fool has said in his heart there is no God. So when you're listening to music made by godless people who pretend that God doesn't exist, by extension, that's the song of the fools. There's a lot of these things that really, and if you dig deeper, a lot of them are just pure anti-God. But they're catchy. And they're used as a way just to kind of get in there, and it rolls around in your head. And the more you kind of go along with it and hear it, and, the lyrics and the tune are catchy and they roll over and over in your head. This is how people are programmed. This is how people learn to, are encouraged anyway, to just further reject the ways of God. And a lot of times, even people within modern Christianity become incredibly, extremely compromised because of the things that they allow in. There's only a couple ways things can go in our body. Okay, unless we're soaking something up with our skin, it's coming in through our nose, it's coming in through our mouth, it's coming in through our ears or our eyes. And, it's been said, like the eyes are the window of the soul or things, but there's stuff that you view that heads down to the core of you. And unfortunately, some of it, can actually become like part of you. I'm not, saying you watch the wrong television show, you're going to get a demon or something like that, but I'm saying it becomes like part of you. And we live in the midst of a wicked and perverse generation. We do. And, by many measurements, we could probably say it's getting worse all the time around us. And when we compare ourselves to society, sure, we may not be quite as bad, but when we're the shadow of society, and we do the same things they do, we just, only go to PG movies and not R, or only R movies and not X, or, whatever it may be. If we continue to lower our standards, the world's going to eat that up. If we raise our standards, they're not really going to raise theirs, okay? But we fuel the same system of debauchery and wickedness and foolishness that the world does. And somehow we justify it, and maybe the bad guy comes out and he's better at the end, or it had redemption in it. I tried watching a Christian stand-up comedy thing. Guy I saw in a movie, knew he was a comedian. Figured I'd look up some of his stuff. I'm not going to, name names and call people out. But there he is in a church, and a lot of his jokes were things like adultery. Okay, that's one of the 10 Commandments, first of all. Second of all, we're talking about people and other people's wives and husbands and stuff. That was one of his jokes. What the crowd was doing? The crowd full of Christians? Laughing. What people said in the comment section of the video I watched on YouTube? Oh, it's so nice to have good, wholesome things to laugh at. What? You know what I mean? And I just provide that as one small piece of evidence that we've really strayed. We tried to watch a Christian movie the other night too. You guys, a lot of you would probably know it. You'd know some of the actors, other things, but a lot of it was like, because of discernment, you're like, whoa, did you see what they just slipped in there or what they just said there? Like, these things are not good. They're not wholesome. They're not godly. And, you can have something like where a guy makes his career pretty much dressed up as a woman, slaps Christian on it, and, the world, the church, eats it up, even though God would call it an abomination. He would say that that's wrong, that that's not right. And, somehow we've just gotten so overexposed to it. So periodically I used to make the joke because I wasn't on the internet at all. Obviously these days I am on a number of sites. I try to do ones that are an actual investment of my time rather than just, taken away from my things. But I would make the joke when people would ask me if I'm on Facebook. I'd say, no, there's only one book I keep my face in. And I would throw that out there. I mean, it's kind of some tongue-in-cheek humor. There's a certain level of, chuckle there. But are you on Facebook? No, there's only one book I keep my face in. And if you think about that, there's so many things, and the internet as well especially, that can just lead you down these paths. That the things that we expose ourselves to matter. And I would say a lot of times in the end, things aren't neutral. Especially, even like relationships and others and things. The people you hang out with are often going to be influencing you in some way. It's good to be able to, like Jesus, sit down with the sinners and be a good influence on them, but we also have to be careful that we're not I don't want to say contaminated or infected, but that we, don't pick up some of the things that they have on the way, because I think that can happen a lot. And we definitely run that risk if we're not careful. So hopefully this is just some good food for thought. Watch what you allow into your eyes, allow into your ears, allow into your soul. Watch the things that you're exposed to. Remember that the enemy is subtle, and the song of the fools. Think about that. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. Consider that. America's Funniest Home Videos or something like that back in the day. Yeah, it's funny to watch these things happen, but is it edifying? Is it godly? Is it going to help you in your spiritual walk to be a better brother, to be a better husband, to be a better, parent, spouse, believer, to be more conformed to Christ's image? Or are we just amusing ourselves and spending our time not thinking? Hopefully this is some food for thought so we can spend some time thinking. I appreciate you guys once again. Be blessed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.